I remember I coached his t-ball team when he first started playing, and it's crazy how far he's come in that period of time. He's come a very, very long way. Hey, how's it going? Thank you for joining me on this week's episode of The Real Deal. So let's see how last week went with business. It was actually a pretty busy week. I had 2 clients that went under contract earlier in the week, and then I had one that closed toward the end of the week. So let's talk about my clients that went under contract. That's always the exciting part. You go out there, you search for some homes, and then you get your offer accepted, which in this market is very hard. Now, with these 2 clients in particular, I was being very strategic with my approach. Both of them had either different programs that they were using, or they were limited on what they could offer above appraisal. So we had to be very careful with what type of offers or what type of houses we were checking out. So my first client, Angel, and his family, they went under contract on a home that was a really nice home. It had a nice remodel. I reached out to the agent. The agent mentioned that they didn't have any offers that came in over the weekend. It could have helped that Easter weekend was, that weekend. That's always a plus when you can, shop during a holiday weekend. And then, we went in there with a nice, clean offer. I talked to the agent. I said, hey, if we offer, X, Y, and Z, in addition to what our current purchase price is, would that help make our offer stand out more? And can I get a response back by tonight? And that's key. I always try to get agents to respond as soon as possible, because sometimes something can slip in and you just never know. Unfortunately, we got a response back within like 4 or 5 hours. My clients were very happy about that. We had their inspection yesterday. Went overall, great house, good condition. They're very happy about it. So can't wait to get them past the appraisal to find out what the home appraises for, and then of course move on to the final stages. Now, my other client is a good friend of mine. I've known him for a long time. His name is Jimmy. And him and I, we've kind of talked about the idea of buying a house for some time. But as a small business owner for him, the timing wasn't right until now. It just made perfect sense for him and his family. This was the next natural progression for him. And we got this really good house. And I mean, it's a stunner of a home. Beautiful yard. It's out in the mountains of Ahwatukee, and it's just a really, really cool house. We were very fortunate to get our offer accepted. In this situation, this client was ready to compete. He could make some aggressive offers, and the client, or the seller, had made a counter to a buyer that had already made an offer. So they didn't receive any crazy terms. The counter was to remove a contingency from that offer. So a contingency basically is when a buyer needs to sell in order to buy. And, I talked to the agent. I said, hey, we don't have a contingency. My client can go in with a nice, clean offer. And we made the terms were aggressive enough for the seller to rescind their counter offer to that buyer. And my clients were able to scoop that house up. And it's a great house. Went out, did the inspection. House is in great condition. Practically everything's been replaced at one point or another. So huge win. Jimmy, congrats, man. Can't wait to get you guys your keys here in a couple weeks. So that was it for my clients that went under contract. Now, for my client that closed last week, I had my clients Eva and Paco. Now, they came to me a couple weeks ago. They were looking for a home, but they wanted to take advantage of a very special product that I have available, where it's 0 down, get your closing costs covered, and no PMI, no private mortgage insurance. And this is a really good program. However, it's very hard to qualify for it. It's very restricted in where you can shop, and it's also restricted with your qualifications. Fortunately for these guys, they were very patient. They waited to get the pre-qualification from this bank. There's only one bank that I know in the entire valley that's doing this. And we waited for the right opportunity for the house to come on the market that worked for them. Same, we had to be strategic with them, though. We couldn't go out there and make offers on houses fresh on the market, because this bank limits us on how aggressive we can make our terms, on how aggressive we can actually go out there and submit an offer. Fortunately, a great house came up for them. It was about 15 minutes away from where they wanted to be. Fortunately, though, it was still on the east side of town, so they would just have to travel, north and south from where their babysitter is located, which that was the big part of it. They wanted to be close to their babysitter, and it just worked out great. Beautiful home, fully remodeled. I mean, the flooring, the cabinets, a really, really nice house, and they were able to take advantage of this phenomenal program. So they get to move into their new home with very very, very little money down. So congrats. That was a huge win for these guys, and they're very excited, very happy. I took a picture and I posted that. I'll go and I'll share that as well. But that was it for business. Overall, pretty busy week. Looking forward to more weeks like that. Those are always fun. Let's see how things went with the family, right? So last week was tournament, or this weekend was tournament weekend with my son. And, my son Isaiah, he's been playing baseball since he was, I would say, 5 years old. I remember I coached his T-ball team when he first started playing. And it's crazy how far he's come in that period of time. He's come a very, very long way, and I'm very proud of him for his accomplishments that, he's done. Last year, he really stepped it up, and he started practicing on his own. We started hiring coaches, and he made it to the All-Stars in Little League, and then we decided, it's time to get some more competition, so we put him in club ball. And he's kind of had some peaks and valleys throughout that process. We started off kind of rough, new level of competition. We had a batting coach for him that was doing well for him, but he was having a hard time adjusting, and we just needed a fresh start. So we switched some batting coaches just to give him a fresh start, and he did great. He hopped out of his funk. He moved in from being literally the last place in the batting lineup because he was a new guy on campus to being the number one guy on his batting lineup this weekend, right? So he literally went from last to first. Now, in baseball, the first, second, and third spots are reserved for the more consistent hitters and the fastest runners because they can get on base, steal bases, and, get to score quicker. My son has been blessed with some amazing athletic abilities. He's a very quick guy. He's the quickest guy on every team he's ever played on. And he put that on full display this week, this weekend. So he did really well. He's been going through a little bit of a slump. I had a good conversation with him in terms of his hitting. He struck out 3 times this weekend out of 3 games, which isn't horrible, right? You got to think 3 games, there's about 9 at-bats at that. But typically, he doesn't strike out much. Typically, he's either putting it on the ground, putting it in the air. But it's rare that he strikes out. It had been rare for a couple months. And we had a conversation, and he's getting ready to go back in and kind of go back into training mode. Go back into learning mode. He went through this period of time for him where he was doing really well, and sometimes that affects him because he gets a little bit too overconfident, and he starts regressing a little bit. So I'm looking forward to see what he can do with this adversity. But in terms of his, he also has a softball team that he played for at his junior high. They won the district championship. There was 2 championships for his district. He was in the bigger, so the higher, the more popular, more populous schools, and he took that championship with his team, and he did great on his softball team. But we had that conversation. I said, hey man, 2 completely different sports. Softball is a bigger ball. The balls are going to roll a little bit slower. Baseball, the balls are coming at you a lot quicker. And then obviously the pitching's a lot quicker because it's overhand versus underhand. So he was very excited about that. That happened on Thursday last week. And then I think he kind of had that high with him, and he carried that to the weekend. But unfortunately, I don't think it did any good for him. Like I said, he had a rough weekend. But other than that, that was pretty much our whole weekend. Tournament weekends are always like that. It's baseball, and then that's pretty much it. My daughter Zenaida, when she starts playing some more competitive sports, right now she's doing gymnastics. It'll probably be a lot worse then. But anywho, thanks for tuning in. Look forward to hearing from you guys. If you have any questions, any concerns, if any of these stories resonated with you, with my clients, if anything caught your attention, reach out to me. I'd love to have a conversation. Take care.